This is Part 2 Episode 188. After Luo Feng purchased the gold armor from the treasure hall in Hong Alliance City, he had set the delivery to be 3 days later, at the 26th camp. Naturally, rushing over from Yangji main continent would require a few months, to even a couple of years. However, Luo Feng was very anxious to get the armor. Also, the many deals he had selling the goods of the Indonesia youth were mostly set in the 26th camp too. Hence, he had to rush over. Using the star-eating plant's God country teleportation, he immediately returned to human territory. This time he teleported to a closed space to Kang Bird Star. After flying in the dark universe for 2 days, he arrived there and used the space pathway to head to the 26th camp in the 7th battlefield. Within the transportation pathway of the 26th camp, new recruits are here. Go lead the new recruits. Why are there so little this time? The leader of the new recruits, the white-robed Undying and his underlings were all shocked to see so few of them. According to the rules, normally only after 100 sector lords were gathered would they send the group. And usually the accompanying domain lords and universe levels would add up to a few thousand at least. This time, however, there was only over 1,000 of them, about 10 sector lords. Wing. A formless pressure spread out. Ah! The expression of the white-robed Undying changed. His gaze landing on a silver-armored and silver-winged youth. The pressure coming from the youth was powerful, it made this Undying go pale. So an emperor has come, no wonder they sent so little this time. Kang Bird Star dared to make the sector lords, domain lords and universe levels wait, but they didn't dare do so to an emperor. Lord. The white-robed Undying welcomed him. I know where to go. Luo Feng said, after which he followed the familiar pathways within. This scene made the Undying and his underlings all smile, the group of new recruits blinked. This great being was at least an official too. Asterisk. My living quarters are the same as before. Luo Feng was given the same villa within. Looks like no one has taken it since then. There were 2 usual practices for the distribution of spaces. The higher contribution points emperors would be given a place, and as long as no other Undying takes it after he leaves, he would be given the same place after. Ha Yang. A voice resounded. Luo Feng looked into the distance. About 100 kilometers away on a mountain peak, there stood a luxurious villa, a silhouette gazed over. Zima. Luo Feng smiled back. It hasn't been long since you came last time, why are you back again? Ha, what a pity, Kutuor is currently at Star Tower. The emperor said from afar, after which he soared through the air and appeared outside Luo Feng's island. This was an other race warrior with 3 heads, and one was bigger than the other 2, not inviting me over. Would I dare? Please come. Luo Feng said. The island was a personal private space. Without permission, no one was allowed to enter. Within the camp, no one dared break this rule. It hasn't been a year since your return last time. Ci Ma said. I have some business, hence the quick return. Luo Feng said. He immediately returned to Yangji main continent, after buying the goods to fight it out with the Indonesia youth. After killing him and getting the second black metal board, he trained for another 3 months before returning. Indeed, it hadn't been a year. After returning, Luo Feng met up with a few emperor friends and many of them said, Yang, you were in black armor and wings before, why are they silver now? Luo Feng immediately replied, my armor changes color frequently, from black to silver, it may even turn gold soon. This made many emperors laugh. Back in the camp. During the first day, Luo Feng swiftly handed large amounts of the goods to the Virtual Universe Company delivery department, sending them towards the emperors he sold them to. During the second day, the gold armor arrived. Sir, these are the goods you ordered. The staff member stood outside the island, please confirm your identity, confirmation complete. Thanks. Luo Feng received the space ring. The employee bowed respectfully and left. Luo Feng used his world energy to enter the ring and easily discovered the one item within, the gold armor. Actually, from the moment the employee arrived at the 26th camp, his body's every cell was already jumping from within. Luo Feng knew at that point that the treasure had arrived. He knew even without checking. He was incredibly excited. Even though his guess before had a high chance, without feeling it personally, there was no way to confirm it 100%. Such a thrilling feeling. My entire body is shaking. Luo Feng's eyes held suppressed excitement. 5 billion mixed elements. Even the silver armor. Just in terms of soul and physical attacks, it can diffuse over 90% of it. This is enough to make an emperor go bankrupt. Even if it was 50 billion, I would still buy it. Much less just 5 for this gold armor. I've struck it big. Let's see, the previous 2 were soldier and general, what would this one be called? Luo Feng excitedly returned to his quarters, and let the golden horned beast, within his internal world, study the gold armor. Internal world. A vast grassland, a huge mountain-like golden horned beast lay there. Suddenly he got up quickly. Because it had been training the second volume of the Nameless Manual all this while, its body constantly crumbled to nothing. Hence, it had long forced the general armor pearl out of its body. Su. The over 8 m tall golden armor appeared in the air above the grassland. Howl. The beast raised its head and howled, looking at the tiny gold armor. The descending armor seemed to be hit by some strong force, instantly becoming a beam of gold light rushing into the beast's body. After which, it became countless gold threads melding with its every cell, and a peculiar imprint began to form at its chest. There on the beast's chest, above the scales, the Yangshan word king appeared before dispersing. King. Black-clothed Luo Feng stared at the huge scale on the beast's chest. Surprised, he said, "It's indeed what I guessed. A higher level than the 2 armors from before, this should be the king armor. Soldier, general, king. I wonder if there are others that are even stronger. Who cares, this king armor alone is placing huge stress on the beast. Let's see if it can trigger the full power of it. King armor, gather." Black-clothed Luo Feng stared at the huge beast before it. Howl. The beast raised its head and howled. Gold began to swiftly form throughout its body. The black scales quickly became gold, and in an instant, the entire beast had become a glaring gold, its powerful aura spreading throughout. Not enough. The pressure is too huge. The 3 bodies all shared one consciousness. Black-clothed Luo Feng changed his expression. The beast howled and triggered its blood river energy. Its body strength amplified 12 times. Still not enough. The beast began to shrink, unleashing deities of the world. Beast god transformation. Natural ability. Using everything. The beast's body kept growing in strength. The pressure formed the gold armor was decreased over 99%. Yet it still felt painful and uncomfortable. It was obvious the beast hadn't pushed it to its limit. The beast's body is actually unable to fully utilize the king armor. Later on, Luo Feng forced out the king armor pearl, and let the beast continue training in the second volume of the Nameless Manual. Simultaneously, he left the camp and took a ship for a few months to return to Yangji main continent, beginning his training days. Studying the laws. Studying his moon policy. And also studying the second volume. He would occasionally go out to hunt. It was pretty easy on him. As his earth body had the silver armor and silver wings, it made the warriors on Yangji continent know there was a powerful human warrior called Yang with emperor strength. He was fast and intrepid with high emperor strength, and was not to be messed with. In the blink of an eye, 30 years had passed. Ha ha, I've finally finished the second volume. Now I can completely unleash my strength. The beast can unleash over 10,000 sector lord's strength. I don't believe I can't fully utilize the king armor now. Within his internal world, black-clothed Luo Feng floated in mid-air and stared ahead. The beast once again melded with the king armor pearl. The completely black golden horned beast shrank, and became like a little beast god, instantly becoming its strongest form, and was covered in gold completely. I've already successfully pushed it to its limit. It truly takes 10,000 sector lord's strength to push the king armor to its limit. The beast howled with joy as it resounded throughout the grassland and skies. This king armor had given the beast a total of 100,000 sector lords' strength. A human emperor body at pinnacle level could only produce 100,000 sector lords' strength. This king armor's power was incredibly. Ha ha. I fear no one on Yang main continent anymore. With such an intrepid body, he was able to completely block 100,000 sector lords' level of power, physical or soul. It meant that any attack from a pinnacle emperor and below was completely blocked. Even an attack stronger than that would be diffused by over 90%. In defense, the king armor was much stronger than the general armor. In the 189th year, Luo Feng was in Yang main continent. Within the edges of the continent, there was a majestic mountain range over 1,000,000 kilometers high. A silver-armored and winged youth was lying on a stone, and beside him was a blood shadow blade. He muttered, "Hope that Knight Emperor has some good news for me. Hope it doesn't waste my time." A silhouette appeared beside him. "He's come." The youth got up. "Yang, you sure are casual." Knight Emperor mocked. He was in a dark red armor, and he had wings with gold eyes. Occasionally, Luo Feng's eyes were like lightning, giving off a terrifying energy. As a black warrior with a thick mix of the beast god bloodline, he maintained his beast god transformation all the time, along with the pressure the Showu wings gave off. How could it not be terrifying? "Speak, why have you come to me? And, how come we cannot speak in the virtual universe, but having to come here personally?" Luo Feng looked at him. "Big news, big, but good news." Knight Emperor emphasized. "What news?" Luo Feng was curious. Over time, he had acquired many emperor friends, of which some were in the main continent with him. The main thing was that his earth body form used the name Yang to interact. Naturally, the golden horned beast had several friends too, like Star Fantasy Emperor. However, the beast made friends mostly with the rare other races, and it only had a total of 3 friends. The Earth body had many friends, of which he was closest to this Knight Emperor. Knight Emperor was one of the human races, a pinnacle emperor with the ability to teleport. He was intrepid and brutal, not easily recognizing others. However, the moment he did, he was straightforward and easy with them. Luo Feng had sparred with him several times. After he was recognized, the two of them became true friends. In the words of Knight Emperor, "Your instantaneous speed is simply too fast. Even though I'm able to teleport, the moment I do, you've already dodged. Unless one is proficient in soul attacks, it's extremely hard to harm you. We'll speak in your cave." Knight Emperor was being very cautious. So cautious. Luo Feng smiled. He could feel the atmosphere as he brought Knight Emperor into the cave. Within, the two of them sat down. "Yang, you should know of some of Yang continent's legends, right?" Knight Emperor said. "Let's communicate mentally, just in case there's some warriors with scanners more advanced than ours." "Haha, of course on the main continent, it's rare for that to happen. Anyway, we have to be careful." Yang continent legends. Luo Feng was stunned. "You are speaking of Sacrificial Tower?" Knight Emperor nodded. The 7th battlefield had many mysterious places. Like Yang main continent and Star Tower and other battle regions, they all had their legends, like the main continent usually had many sacrificial statues about. Even over trillions of years, they had yet to fully decay, and their energy usage was shocking, making many warriors ponder about the indigenous people of the continent. "I've heard of some." Luo Feng frowned. "Back then when the 7th battlefield was first opened, I heard that the 4 pinnacle races swept through the area to forge the battle regions. The indigenous people of the main continent were naturally driven out, and unable to stand up against the 4 pinnacle races. As it was sudden, only part of them got away, and many others were massacred. Yang main continent is most known for its sacrificial towers, and every one of them is a huge survival base. The indigenous people had many treasures stored within them before taking them along and fleeing. However, as it was rushed, many didn't manage to get away. Some were taken away by the 4 pinnacle races, while some were left hidden in parts of the continent. I heard that they are mysterious in their construct, that even a night's god energy cannot detect them. Our scanners cannot detect them at all. Luo Feng said, 10 towers were discovered so far. Have you discovered a tower? Luo Feng smiled at him. Night Emperor's expression was serious, nodding. Damn. Luo Feng suddenly stood up, staring at Night Emperor. Are you lying to me? Am I truly that lucky? I'm not lying. Night Emperor emphasized. What's going on? Luo Feng looked at him, frowning. We are definitely good friends. However, the sacrificial towers, they are survival bases from when the indigenous people fled, and they hold a large amount of treasure. That's the amount of an entire race, even though each tower only has a small portion, but it's still a huge amount to us emperors. Such an amount of treasure, there's no need for you to share. Every place had its own stories. Like back on Shattered Stars, Yangji Main Continent, or Star Tower. They all had their own stories. Yangji Continent's sacrificial towers were renowned, and several top battle regions in the 7th battlefield, like Star Tower, had even more precious treasures that would make emperors go crazy for. Of course, only one appeared once in a while. But even so, the probability was still much higher than discovering a sacrificial tower. You are right. Even as friends, there's no need to share. Night Emperor smiled. The reason I'm inviting you is because of your flying and dodging abilities. In a critical time with space lockdown, we can rely on it to escape. After sparring so many times, your flying ability is truly impressive. Ha! Luo Feng smiled. I'll tell you in detail. Night Emperor emphasized. I fought with another race emperor, who had hid within a deep cave. Even though he was weaker than me, he's still a high emperor. That fight, we gave it our all and the ground collapsed, and the space tore apart. He was already heavily injured and was fleeing, then we unexpectedly discovered the tower. It's incredibly mysterious, even the knights cannot break through it or detect it. It's a survival base of the indigenous people of the main continent. Naturally, both of us were unable to forcefully keep it in our world rings. However, at the entrance lay a body of one of the indigenous people. Both of us discovered a talisman to enter the tower. We immediately fought to acquire it. The main thing was that he had the advantage as he got there first. Even though I'm stronger, I only got half of it. There were a total of 6 parts to that talisman. I got 3 and he got 3. According to the items we found on that body, there was an instruction that said one could enter the tower with the talisman. However, the 6 parts had to be used from 6 different sides simultaneously to get the treasure within. Night Emperor shook his head helplessly. Since both of us got part of the talisman, we could enter the tower. However, we could only move about in the living areas, etc. The treasure areas within had all sorts of security devices. Hence, we need 6 of us to enter simultaneously. And to activate that door. Night Emperor, these 6 life forms may need to be indigenous people. Luo Feng frowned. The tower may have set that only indigenous people can enter, and it wouldn't let us other races take the treasure. Even with the 6 talismans, we may not be able to get it. I definitely understand that. Night Emperor said. However, didn't other warriors acquire the treasures from the other towers before? Anyway, the treasure left behind by the indigenous people is within. Even though this is only one tower, it should be akin to at least a knight's wealth. And over countless years, its defenses may have already grown old and weakened. Night Emperor said. Risking it to get such a treasure, I'd definitely do it. Yang, will you go? Danger comes with risk. Luo Feng smiled, of course. Luo Feng was pretty confident of his survival ability. Looking at the history, there were others that had gotten the treasures from sacrificial towers before. Why couldn't he do so too? Let's go, follow me to look for Piercing Tiger Emperor. Night Emperor said. Piercing Tiger? Luo Feng asked curiously. Let's go. Night Emperor held on to Luo Feng and teleported. In another side of the continent, Piercing Tiger Emperor and his team were stationed around a cave in a mountain. It was normal to see one stay either in a cave or underground. Within a palace, Luo Feng, Night Emperor and Piercing Tiger Emperor stood there. Even though Piercing Tiger wasn't a human, he was from the human camp. Hence, he was naturally on good terms with the other two. "Yang, Night Emperor, why have you come here?" he asked. "And we have to communicate mentally even without any underlings around. Looks like it's something big." "A huge thing indeed." Night Emperor began to repeat the story again, and tell him about the sacrificial tower. "I'm in." He slapped the table. "How could I not go for such a chance? Even after exploring the many secret regions amidst life or death, we may not get such a treasure." "Good." Night Emperor was very excited. "I'm proficient in teleportation, Piercing Tiger you are proficient in space lockdown and attack, and Yang is proficient in flying. With the three of us combined, and all of us having plant life forms, we can definitely get the treasure. We'll set the distribution of the treasure 2:1:1, how's that?" Night Emperor looked at the two. "We'll all work together to get the treasure. I'll have the portion of 2 while you both get 1. Piercing Tiger exchanged glances with Luo Feng. After which, they both nodded at Night Emperor. "Good. Sweet." Night Emperor smiled too. He was clear that these two were not ordinary people. Piercing Tiger had strength on par with him. As for Yang, his flying ability was absolute, and they all had their own trump cards as well. Especially Yang, every time he saw him fly, he would get shocked. This movement was something he created himself, and it displayed his amazing talent on how he must be heavily nurtured by the race. If it was something taught by his teacher, it meant his background was terrifying too. "This is a talisman." Night Emperor flipped his hand and produced 2 triangular crystal-like rocks with complex engravings on them. This was somewhat similar to the jadeite of Earth. "Once you send your spirit imprint in, you'll become its master," Night Emperor said. "Only with this can you enter the tower. Otherwise, you can't even get in. These engravings are infused with the space laws and water laws." "Wow, how mysterious." Piercing Tiger Emperor couldn't help but say as he received the talismans and examined them. Luo Feng sent a thread of spirit energy in and immediately placed his spirit imprint. It fused right into his skin. The spirit imprint was an imprint of the soul, a mark of life. Piercing Tiger kept his too. "All right, let's go," Night Emperor said. The 3 warriors from the human camp instantly vanished from the cave and appeared deep underground over 1 trillion kilometers away. Deep underground. Luo Feng could feel the space warp, and in the blink of an eye, he appeared within a dark cave underground. "This is..." Luo Feng looked at the huge object stuck in the ground before them. As the mud had covered part of it, he could only see a few hundred meters ahead. The huge construct had a round entrance that was completely shut. Even after trillions of years, it was still perfectly undamaged. "Barbata, scan it," Luo Feng said. "I cannot detect it, and am only picking up the mud and stones within a 20 kilometers area." "Ah? Even the mini scanner cannot detect it?" Luo Feng was shocked. He had long heard that the towers were undetectable, and even a knight's god energy couldn't detect it. However, only after trying did he fully feel its power. "It's right before me and yet my god energy cannot detect it." Piercing Tiger's voice was booming as it resounded about. "My god energy can only pick up the mud and rocks around, yet I can see it right before me. This is the mysterious sacrificial tower." Night Emperor smiled. "Without being in front of it, even a knight cannot find it. This tower is the survival base the indigenous people used to flee in. Even though it is an important fleeing tool, and yet it's so mysterious." "Corpse." Luo Feng saw a corpse in the mud ahead. It was about 2.6 meters tall, completely jade-like, with 6 arms, bald and giving off terrifying energy. This was the energy of an undying, which was able to withstand trillions of years without any decay. Naturally, this was an undying. Quite some power. This undying energy has some pretty powerful god energy. He should be an emperor. Piercing Tiger walked over and glanced at it. "It is an emperor." Night Emperor looked at the body and smiled. The tower was managed by 6 emperors when they were fleeing. They all had 1 talisman each. From the looks of it, he didn't suffer any pain when he died. Luo Feng carefully examined the body too. This body had a sense of anxiety, his eyes were wide open, yet he just died like that. It was almost like he experienced a very sudden death. He died very quickly. An emperor is very hard to kill, yet when he died, his armor was completely undamaged. It's obvious there wasn't even a battle. Knight Emperor said. I think. A large group of knights from the 4 pinnacle races used their soul attacks, and swept the entire main continent, when they were forging the battlefield. Hence, all the life on the main continent, was completely annihilated, the 6 emperors were killed instantly too. Luo Feng nodded. Knight Emperor, Piercing Tiger, and Luo Feng stood outside the entrance. We'll wait patiently for the enemy to come. Knight Emperor said. They should be here soon. Luo Feng and Piercing Tiger sat crossed-legged there and waited. After a while. Whoosh! 3 figure appeared. Knight Emperor, you sure got here fast. An ear-piercing voice resounded. A 3-meter-tall, completely black, and gold-scaled snake-like creature with small eyes appeared. Its silver-white lips opened as it let out an ear-piercing laughter. Cackle, these are the 2 you've got to help you. This brute must be Piercing Tiger Emperor. Silver armor and wings, never seen before. It glanced at Luo Feng. Let me introduce you. Knight Emperor's gaze landed on the 3 warriors from the enemy camp. I am Knight Emperor. I am Piercing Tiger Emperor. The powerful booming voice resounded from Piercing Tiger. I don't have an emperor title yet, I'm called Yang. Luo Feng looked at the 3 enemies. There were 3 of them. Luo Feng instantly recognized that 2 of them were from the Chi-Chang race, and another was from the renowned Gold Kang Emperor of Yang-Ji main continent. He was well known, Luo Feng knew much about it. The other 2, however, Luo Feng didn't know anything, as he hadn't spent a lot of time on the main continent after all. Among the 2 Chi-Chang warriors, one was close to 3 m tall, and the other was 1.6 m. We've already introduced ourselves. Ice Blade, what about your side? Knight Emperor roared. I am called Ice Blade. The 3 m tall Chi-Chang warrior laughed weirdly. Purple Clock Emperor. The 1.6 meter tall Chi-Chang Emperor, who seemed skinny, spoke. But its voice was even more piercing. Gold Kang Emperor. This huge beast, which was as tall as Piercing Tiger, and had thunder engravings on his face. He stood there and glowed with electricity, his energy, pressured against the human camp. Piercing Tiger, however, gave off his own terrifying energy, the space seemed to almost fall apart. There were 2 camps. One was the humans, and the other the automaton. Naturally on their side, none of them were automaton race. Now that we have introduced each other, Ice Blade said, let's go. Go. Knight said too. Gold Kang went along with Purple Clock and Ice Blade, while Luo Feng and Piercing Tiger went along with Knight Emperor. They all headed towards the entrance. It had been shut for a long time, however, as Ice Blade touched it, the seemingly solid and sturdy material became like a liquid and flowed, as Ice Blade walked in. Knight Emperor did the same. As for Luo Feng and the others, as this was the first time they entered, they were extremely cautious. How strange. As Luo Feng touched it, the entrance door automatically flowed away, making him feel as though he was passing through water. The 6 Emperor-level strength warriors stood within the huge 1-kilometer-wide pathway, with the entrance behind them. Getting the treasure won't be easy. Luo Feng looked at the 3 enemies. That Ice Blade is a high emperor, his threat level isn't that huge. Gold Kang, however, is a well-renowned warrior of the main continent, he should have the emperor limit strength. Yang, Knight, this is going to be troublesome. Piercing Tiger communicated. I didn't expect to meet Gold Kang here. Humph. Knight looked at Luo Feng and Piercing Tiger, saying, that Ice Blade is weaker than me, he knew that without getting someone stronger, he wouldn't be able to get the treasure. According to the information I gathered, that Purple Clock should be Pinnacle Emperor. And all of you already know Gold Kang, he is at Emperor Limit. Emperor Limit. The 3 of them felt stressed. An emperor was sorted according to his strength, normally from low, high and pinnacle. A low emperor's body normally reached around 10,000 sector lords strength. A high emperor reached around 30,000 sector lords strength. A pinnacle emperor, however, reached around 100,000 times the strength. And 100,000 sector lords strength. It was a human emperor's highest form. Without a miracle, it was impossible to break through. However, amongst the emperors, there were those with body amplification techniques. Like the golden horned beast had deities of the world and beast god transformation along with strengthen, allowing its strength to amplify 20 times. True Yang had acquired the god general inheritance before. Naturally, there were others that would have received them, or had their own amplification techniques. Body amplification was very hard. Beast god transformation's first level was only 2 times. Deities of the world was very powerful. It was a combination of the beast swallow technique to amplify. Luo Feng's earth body, he only had the beast god amplification. Hence he could only amplify its strength by very little. It was extremely rare to be able to amplify even 3 to 5 times. As for the god inheritance, they were too rare. Even knights were fighting for these slots. The Hong Alliance's large amount of warriors were all fighting for them too. To get one usually meant spending tens of billions of mixed elements and owing many favors. It wasn't something normal emperors could afford. Hence, emperors were normally sorted into low, high and pinnacle. Only very few had body amplification techniques and soul amplification techniques. Or they created their own pinnacle techniques, or had some miraculous encounters, allowing them to unleash emperor limit strength. Above that, with everything added together, only then can an emperor have the strength of a normal knight, like True Yang. And Gold Kang belonged to that category. Emperor limit is just one level above us. Even though we are weaker, the difference isn't too huge. Knight Emperor said. Leave Gold Kang to me. Piercing Tiger's eyes gleamed with fighting spirit. Luo Feng looked at him. Piercing Tiger was renowned for his strength and intrepid powers. He should be able to withstand Gold Kang. Actually, we have an advantage within this tower, that's Yang. Knight looked about. The circular pathway was huge, but it had countless ancient statues about that gave off law energies. This tower is very mysterious. Its entire structure has God energy everywhere, almost like the space is on lockdown within. This is also the reason I cannot simply teleport into the tower. Teleportation was very powerful. One could teleport straight into a ship from outside. If the sacrificial tower was made from normal material, Knight Emperor could teleport into the center easily. With the space lockdown, Yang's speed and dodging will become our greatest advantage. Plus Piercing Tiger and I are both Emperor Pinnacle. Even though that Gold Kang is Emperor Limit, we aren't too different in levels. Knight said. As they were discussing secretly. The other group was doing the same. After a few seconds. Let's enter the core region. Ice Blade said. Let's go. Knight nodded. This video will end here.